Get into what I want to talk about. As you see the title, you never were going to do it in the first place. I have run across a lot of people in my lifetime that have used this phrase, well, when I was, or I planned on, or when things get better, or when time is right. To me, that is some of the most insipid bullshit on the planet, because one thing I've learned is you have to make it right. You can't wait. You have to make it right. Sometimes you have to wait on something, but even when you're waiting, you have to be in motion towards that end. You just can't completely sit back and just wait and hope and dream. A lot of people are what I call Al Bundy. If you remember the show, Married with Children, Al Bundy peaked in high school. He was the football star. That's how he got pegged, and he went out for the long bomb. He literally stopped excelling at that point, and it was all downhill from there. There are many people who are Al Bundy. They peaked a long time ago, and they can't really deal with it. And it's funny, because everything's a choice. You could change that today if you wanted to. But many people feel that they cannot change it or improve it or make it better because they lack courage. They lack the ability to say, you know what, I'm going for it even if I fail. I had an expression in my dating life: I'd rather go out with my in flames than like a little dog with my tail between my legs. And there was times that I put myself in situations that were uncomfortable, that I didn't really feel very confident. And over time, I became comfortable and confident because I kept putting myself in those situations. There's a lesson there. In the beginning, when you start out, it's not going to be cozy and comfortable. Let that shit go. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. If you're not growing, you're peaked. So being uncomfortable and putting yourself in situations that force you to grow and excel is a great way for you to become the person you want to be. It's not going to happen in your comfort zone. It isn't. And I will tell you that I had some very bad internal language that was going on. Very, very bad internal language. And it was crazy internal language, because I would say, and this was a transition I had to make from being in the storage auction business to not being in the storage auction business, because it was a different lifestyle. And I would just say, yeah, you know, I used to do this, and I used to do this, and I used to do this. Then one day, I had to literally bitch slap myself and say, you can't say that anymore. Because I was falling into the trap of, that was the best thing I ever did in my life. And till that point, it was. In terms of being happy, being successful, having a ton of really cool experiences. I mean, that within itself was the thing. You know, the money was nice, getting stuff was nice, but the experiences, just getting to see the intimate details of the lives of so many people, that was the thing. That was the thing that drove me. And a lot of people disregard that because they're just focused on money. That's why they don't really last that long, because you have to have more. And I was sitting there talking to myself, and it's like, look, you can't keep saying you used to do this, and you used to have this, and you used to have this. So I had to sit down and create some new aggressive goals for myself. You just cannot continue to live on the past. It will kill you. It will just suck the life out of, it'll just suck the life out of you. There are so many things that you can do at any age. And I remember the day that I did it, because I was hanging with some friends, and this is when I had Thor. Yeah, Thor has been retired to. I think he's modified now because I no longer have Thor. Got rid of him because 300,000 miles, and it was just like the money that was going to take to put into him, I didn't see it. So when I had Thor, I was out at this event, and we were just talking, and the guy came up and he had a 540, and I said, yeah, I used to have a 540. And we were just talking and everything, and then the valet brings my car, the 525 Thor, and he just kind of looks at me. And it's like, you know, if you had a 540, why would you be driving a 525? Because a 540 is like adrenaline untapped. And, you know, he went on his way and I went on my way. And I said to myself, you caused that. You know, you are in this little place where you're living on your past accomplishments. You were really, really slowly dying, because you could do, like, say, hey, last year I did this thing, or 2 years, or maybe even 5 years. But around the 5-year mark, it's like, what have you done lately, unless you just did something like stupendous, like, you know, discovered the cure for cancer or something like that. It's going to start looking smaller and smaller. It's going to start being put in the proper perspective. I mean, you got to continue to grow. You got to continue to push and grow your life. So I went home and I was a little pissed off, because I was just like, I didn't really like how that went down. And I know why it went down, and I was the genesis of why it went down like that. And I was like, okay, from this day on, we're not going to talk about what we used to do, what we used to have, who we were, and so on and so forth, because it's a new day. It's a new year. It's a new life. And I stopped saying it and started working on doing different stuff. And the conversation came to, I am currently doing this. That's a better conversation. It's more refreshing. It's more gratifying. And it just gives you warm and fuzzies. Oh, I'm doing this. When I wrote my first book, and for those of you that know, the first book was supposed to be a relationship book. I interviewed like 300 women. And I changed course at the last minute because I didn't want to be the relationship book dude. I just, you know, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel authentic, because what I was going to put in the book was some stuff that women did not want to hear. And if you study the markets of relationship books, it is 95% women that are buying those books. So I'm like, why am I going to write this book that you already know that's probably going to tank, because you're not coming with the things that women want to hear? So I switched and jumped onto the storage auction book. Felt better, felt crisper, it was more authentic, and the results were outstanding. They were just outstanding. So what I'm telling you is, you can't keep saying what you used to do past a certain point. Now, let's jump really into why you never were going to do it in the first place. There are many people that have grandiose dreams, ideals, and they use what I call protective code words. I don't have enough education. Okay, get the education. I don't have enough money. Okay, get the money. What they're saying is, what I'm talking about is not important enough to me for me to make the personal sacrifices that it would dictate to get that thing going, to be successful. I'm just not going to do it. Those are the code words. If someone has been working on getting their business, not saying actually being in the business, but actually getting their business up and running off the ground for like the last 20 years, they never were going to do it in the first place. We're going to do it. Wasn't going to happen. It just wasn't going to happen. I love the movie Collateral with Jamie Foxx and Tom Cruise. There's the scene. They're in the cab and he's just like, Jamie's working for someone. He's like, yeah, I'm going to get my own limousine. And Tom Cruise says, you're never going to do it in the first place. What's the lease on the limo? What, $425 a month? And it was true. It was stunningly true. Because the thing is, and I'm going to go real deep on this one, is many Americans don't realize the gifts and the joy they have of being an American citizen. And they take it for granted. And then you get someone who is coming from impoverished circumstances, or maybe coming from a true communist regime, and they come here and it's like, whoa, I can do all of this if I just put in work. And a lot of people are like, well, Glendon, it's not that simple. They have special programs, and they get special money, and they get special tax breaks. And I'm going to call bullshit on all of that, because even if it was true, or in some cases it may be true, that does not denigrate the amount of work they put involved to get their business started and ongoing. See, that's the thing. That's where the argument runs off the street. It's like the steroid argument in sports. It's like, you know, those drugs are making their cheaters. Bullshit. You can't bullshit. Once again, bullshit. I don't care how many steroids you take. If you don't put in the work, you just are not going to get the results. And all of those guys that took steroids and they were already at a high level and they worked harder and got to a higher level. I don't think it's cheating, but that's just me. But a lot of people do, because of the false nation of, you know, what's authentic and what's not authentic. It's a bunch of bullshit. Now I can tell you, most guys at top level anything are on something. It may not be on the banned list right now, but they're on something. And another thing, in my gym, there are guys I know who are on gear. I know for a fact they are. I'm fucking stronger than they are. I mean, it's not this magic pill that's going to get you to do it. It just helps you do what you're already doing. But you still have to work hard, even when you're using that stuff. Which, going back to the immigrants, they still have to work hard. It's not like they're sitting around playing with their nipples. They're working hard. I've worked with a lot of immigrants. I've employed a lot of immigrants. And they go to work. So, with this whole notion of, I can't do it, I'm waiting on the right time, those are all excuses to hide your fear of failure. Or, if you're a particularly twisted little puppy, your fear of success. Because, see, failure hurts. And success dictates that you do things differently. And a lot of people are definitely afraid of change. Definitely afraid of change. That's one of the reasons that racism still is such an issue in the United States of America. There are people just like, I just don't want to change. I don't want to change, because then, you know, you have to kind of confront some of your own personal issues about life. And a lot of people are not ready for that. Because in the future, it's not really going to matter at all. Because classism is going to be the big thing. Now that shit's going to be the real bitch slap. And I think the prepper movement is more onto that than the GOP and Republican movement, because they see there's a lot of stuff that's happening. I'll talk about that in another video. But understand, you never were going to do it anyway if the following things happen. It's been like 10 years since you had the idea. It's just a whim. It's not even an idea. You never came up with any goals. You never put any action to it. You talk about it more than you do it. You never were going to do it anyway. Ever in life. It just sounds good as a party conversation. Now, I was listening to a speech this weekend, and the guy said something that was really, really interesting. And I've watched this guy before, and when you're ready for certain things, you definitely receive things in a different manner. Now, he said something, and it's me all day long. He said, entrepreneurs are virtually unemployable. And I started laughing, right? Because, you know, my thing is to say that I haven't had a job in like the last 14 years. Come on. And Because the thing is, I was always getting in trouble at work. I was always, and it wasn't because of my work ethic. That never was a problem. It was just my attitude. And some of my friends were like, "Why do you work so hard?" And it's just like, well, if I don't do this, I'm going to get a job. And that scares the shit out of me. And it's not because I don't want to work for someone. I don't want to work for someone in a system that I find to be dumb as fuck. See, in my world, I can change stuff, do stuff. And someone put in, and it's totally misguided. It's like, well, everyone has a boss. And like if you have a business, it's your customers. And I don't see how going in the office, working for a dumbass, or be told to do stuff you don't want to do is the same as having a customer, because this is the big difference. You create a product and either they like it or they don't like it. It's purely optional for them to buy your product or not. Whereas if you go have this job, it is not optional for you to deal with the bullshit in that office. And in today's climate, there's a lot of people who are working jobs they hate and feel trapped like a rat. It ain't even close. Another thing he said was, a true entrepreneur. I'm of the opinion that entrepreneurs can be developed. I think he's not of the opinion of entrepreneurs can be developed. But a true entrepreneur will go crazy in a corporate environment, and if they stay there too long, they become depressed. And I really thought about that because I've never taken Prozac, or I really don't like taking drugs, and I avoid them at all costs. The only time you're going to hear me talking about I'm taking medication is I have to. All right, I got an infection, I got to take an antibiotic. I have to. That is it. I don't even have aspirin in my house right now. And he said depression. And I'm just looking at the number of people who are on all these pills, who can't sleep at night. They've got a pill to go to bed. They got a pill to wake up. They've got a pill to be happy. If they get too happy, they got a pill to calm down. You're living your life on prescription drugs because the core root of your angst is you're not doing what you want to do with your life. And there are a lot of people living that life. I was dating this chick, and, I was in her bathroom, and I needed something, and she said, oh, it's in the medicine cabinet. What I saw in there scared the shit out of me. She had it was nothing but prescription. It was just like everywhere. I was just like, seriously, about 15, 20 bottles. I was just like, I just got what I needed and shut it. And I was like, what the hell is wrong with you? And there are a lot of people who are living that life. So that's what I'm saying. You're never going to do it anyway, because people will placate that angst and desire to be different, to live the life that they want to, with medication, drugs, and alcohol. I don't know a lot about drugs. And a lot of people nail me when I speak about drugs because I've never been high. I don't do anything. So I don't know about the drug life, the drug culture. I have no clue. But I do know this. The people that I have had the pleasure or displeasure to be in their space who were using drugs and using them heavily, for the most part, were not happy. I have not met a happy copious drug user. I have not met a happy alcoholic. I have not met a happy depressed person. I haven't met any of these people who are doing these things who were happy. So using dynamic thinking, I'm going to say that they're using those drugs to placate their unhappiness, which means that if they were happy, they wouldn't be doing drugs or be alcoholics. That's how I look at it. And that's why, I'm a little mixed on this whole thing, because it's like, weed doesn't hurt anybody. I don't know about that. Because once again, I haven't seen a happy drug user. Ever. Everyone that I knew of that was using that stuff was very, very unhappy and had pretty much a fucked up life. Just me. Now, some of you may know some happy drug users or some happy alcoholics. But the real deal is, if you're going to do something in life, you got to get started. You have to hustle. You have to push. You have to really, really look at it as a battle, a war, that it's you against your old you. The status quo isn't the problem. Competition isn't the problem. The problem is you and how you think. And if you think differently, you're going to get different results. All right, this is Glenn and Cameron. I will see you on the good side.